society does not fully understand brain injuries, and we do not have any one test for whether your brain is injured. So we know this from the NFL football players. We know that you can get a concussion from falling and hitting the back of your head, or the front of your head, or the side of your head. We know you can get a concussion, which is by definition a brain injury, not necessarily permanent, but can be. We know that you can get a concussion by not hitting your head, by being shaken up from falling, from being jerked around in a car crash, a boat crash. You don't have to hit your head, and you don't have to have a skull fracture, right, to have a concussion and a brain injury. It's called the silent injury because there's not one X-ray that you can take of the head that necessarily shows the injury. When you go into the ER, the emergency room, you say, oh, I hit my head, I have a headache. Whether you lost consciousness or didn't lose consciousness, they do pretty much all over the world, they'll give you a CT scan of the head. CT scan is a series of X-rays that goes all across your head. What are they looking for? Does that mean you do or don't have a brain injury? Not necessarily. They're looking for an active bleed in the brain that's going on, that's active right then and there, that will cause the brain to be squished inside the skull. And if the brain is squished or pressured inside the skull, and if there's a greater than 5 millimeter shift of your midline, then they go in, they take off a part of your skull, that's called a craniectomy, and that's the way to relieve the pressure, and they actually suction out or suck out the blood and the cerebral spinal fluid there. And they've found that that's the best way to do that. You can have a craniectomy when there's absolutely no skull fracture. It's just to relieve the pressure. Just because you don't have a craniectomy, though, doesn't mean you don't have a brain injury, because there's things that happen at the microscopic level in your brain that tear at the axons, these little microscopic nerve endings in your brain, and it's called axonal shearing. Shearing is when it kind of tears, as a shearing, and you have axonal shearing, you can have indications. There are some tests now, a certain kind of MRI, not all MRIs, certain kind of MRI will give evidence that there's been axonal shearing, but there's no one test for it. And you can look 100% normal. You can even talk normally, but somebody who knows you will know there's something off and something wrong with this person, whether it's memory, whether they're more irritable, whether they're more emotional, whether they're anxious in a situation where there's a lot of lights and noise and stuff like that. They can't plan things. They walk into the kitchen, they forgot why they're there. Maybe some of us do that every once in a while. But with people with a traumatic brain injury, they're finding themselves in the kitchen, in the car, they're driving. They forgot, why am I driving here? And they can walk and talk normally, but have this brain injury, and they just don't feel like themselves. Friends and relatives can tell, others not so much. In a courtroom, it's very difficult. You have to listen to the accounts given by the friends and relatives. That's why it's called the invisible injury.